and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.net.
Welcome to Beyond the Headlines with hosts MJ, H-Train, and Terry. Each week we put today's news into perspective. Join us on Facebook, X, YouTube, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, or anywhere you get your podcast. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
And we're live. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines on MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice, and tonight's voice is ours.
Good evening, my fellows. How is everybody?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a staycation, a little private PTO time, and sorry to abandon everybody for 5 weeks. Just needed to do that little bit of healing. That's a whole story in itself. You should have been listening at 9 o'clock this morning. And but you can go back and listen to that. But tonight I was just talking with Terry before we came on, and I was like, Terry, I'm gonna be honest, I really haven't been paying too much attention to a lot of headlines, just because I needed solace. I just needed time without, and I kind of made a gruesome conversation, and it wasn't too, and I'm thinking about it now going, damn, because I said, I had to face it. Whatever's going on in this world and whatever's going on in the good old, White House or across the ponds, if I don't exist, they're still going to go on today, right? That's the reality. The reality of behind the headlines, I think, for me, is why are you getting upset over somebody else's crap? It's not in your journey. Whether you're here or not, some of these things are going to exist. And they're existing and they're newsworthy to make you aware, but not so much to add your flavor, right? So it's when we add the flavors where I think we all get into our problems, unless it triggers us. And if it triggers us, then that's like another issue that we have going on there. That's kind of how I see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I haven't been listening as much as I would typically listen to the news, but like you say, it's going to go on whether we're listening or not. Do we need to be tuned in to see what's going on? Yes, we do, because if we can vote or we can do something to make a difference, to make a change in what's going on, we should. We should pay attention. Some of the stuff is just banter, and it just goes back and forth, and it's not really worth the time to invest your attention to. But the serious issues, then yes, absolutely. We need to plug into those and really delve into the details so that we know and are informed about what is going on and what differences we can make.
Yeah. Again, how much of a difference do we make? And the only reason I'm saying this is because I think every single event or instance, you're going to have to weigh out of what we're going to do or say. Because, I was talking, I know you guys talked about the Mystic Camp in Texas with the floods.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Yeah.
But that thing's 100 years old. I said it already. It's 100 years old. It's been there. One act of God is creating chaos with death. One act of God's creations of these floods. We have to honor that. We have to honor those who passed or those who had to go through that tragedy. It's not the first devastation of a flood, of tsunamis or hurricanes or whatever, but yet why are we suing? That's my question. Beyond the headlines, right? Why then are we now suing that camp or the state? Because there wasn't a flood siren. I don't get it. There was never a flood siren in 100 years.
Right.
The awareness. Thank you for the lives that crossed to say, you know what? It's time that we have this protection. So instead of getting angry, why don't we just honor and say thank you? Thank you. Thank you for that divine plan. Thank you for that. That's hard to swallow for people who lost their loved ones. I get that. And
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here saying that, not shouldn't, but I am not about any tragedy. It's like hurricanes and somebody finds their, like I have to go through it in my head going, what is equivalent to this? And the only thing I have been in is lots of hurricanes living in Florida. And the neighbor wants to sue because your carport is on their car. Well, I didn't put it there. Okay. But and the act of God who picked it up and shoved it down 5 houses on your car, I don't know what to say about that. Like, what do we say about that? I don't know. I really don't know. Hi, Jose.
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't a lot to say. I mean, the wind's going to do what the wind's going to do, the water's going to do what the water's going to do, and we have no control over that.
You are
No.
not going to control Mother Nature.
No.
You're just
No.
not. I always see that. I see it all the time. Like I said, in a disaster, why are we suing? Why are we getting angry? We should be sad, but we also have to heal that sadness. That's how I look at that.
Right. And it's a chance to make a difference going forward. If there's something that can be changed to help, if something like that were to happen again, just like at Camp Mystic, I mean, they're putting in warning sirens now. Would they have really helped in that instance? It's doubtful that they would have, because, no one expected the deluge of rain that came when it came, and it came all in an hour. So would they have had time to evacuate?
It's tornadoes. How many people? Yeah, you have tornado sirens, but that doesn't mean that one isn't going to build right on top of you. Like,
right.
Yeah, you have weather forecasters, like there's a possibility. So are we supposed to be anxious all damn day long because of the possibility by man's, how they put it together? I guess. But I wouldn't live there. Like I personally, God love you people, I couldn't live in that. Like I can't, if there's a possibility and all I do is look out the window for my own safety. I can't live like that either. There's just no way. I don't know. That's a hard one. It's a hard one. But please stop suing on acts of God or acts of nature, Mother Earth. Why are we suing on those acts? Nobody, there isn't a Superman power in the world as a human who are going to be able to block some of these things, period. And it's just impossible.
Right. Yeah, there's not much we can do when it's weather. We're not gonna, I mean, we can mitigate some damages or mitigate maybe some circumstance, but the weather is still going to be the most powerful force, and we're just gonna have to ride it out.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah. So how's the heat down there in that Texas?
Well, actually, we just had a deluge of rain, so it's actually not as bad as it typically would be. We had our first over 100-degree days, though, so that was like the first for the summer, because usually we've had plenty by now, and we just started this past week to have 100. So,
oof! I know my friends in Florida; they've been struggling for weeks. I mean, it has been like abnormal temperatures, and I haven't had it. I have to say, I always tell my family, because they know I don't have an AC in this house.
Oh, wow.
I know. And they're like, how are you not living with AC? I go, well, coming from Florida, this is like a nice vacation. I don't know. There's only been maybe 4 days at most, maybe 5 days that has been, well, I mean, we've had to go downstairs and kind of sleep in the basement a little bit. But our basement's redone. So it's nice and cool down there. It's like 60 degrees. So,
oh, wow.
Right. So it could be whatever. I mean, we haven't hit the hundreds up here. We've hit 94, 96, but the humidity on those days were like 96, 94. So they were very, very up there. But no, we don't have AC up here, but it's been beautiful. The weather, I can't. We have a little bit right now of smoke cover clouds. The air quality is not good because the Canadian fires are still burning strong.
Oh, wow.
And, there's only one state between like me and the fires, and that's New York.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, Northern New York is getting the blunt of all the smoke today with those fires.
I know Jessica Muse just she got assigned to Alaska as her first assignment for the Coast Guard, and she
Oh,
drove from Alabama to Alaska, and she drove through Canada. And she was mentioning the fires. She hadn't even thought about maybe having to detour, around them or anything. But then when she got up that way, then she realized, oh my goodness, the fires are, at least they're not in my path right now. But she said I would have had to detour around them. But she said it was smoky and places as she was traveling up that way.
yeah. Where is she going in Canada? Do you know? Or in
It was
Alaska?
Anchorage.
Anchorage.
Hmm.
I was going to say, because they're in trouble with those volcanoes up there too. So yeah.
She just made it, so I don't even think she's really started work yet. 'Cause she just barely made it there. So her first assignment, and she had like 12 days of travel, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of travel days.
Mhm.
That's a lot of travel. I thought driving from Florida to here was a travel day. That's a lot of travel days. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. So, other things that are happening around the world that I'm a little bit behind with is I see that there has been some new sources of information of the Russia hoax. Where's our good old as the White House turns thing here? Wait, we'll give it to where is poor Joel? He's not here tonight, or he would have been play it.
Right. I
I
uh,
can't I can't find it with all these new things here.
I don't know if it's actually in this studio. I don't see it. He must have loaded it at the time when we had our last show. He
Yeah.
must have loaded
Well,
it up at that
anyway,
time.
as the White House turns. So, and it's not even, I don't even think it's the White House because I think our beloved Tulsi Gabbard, who was in the military, our veteran, I believe because of the whole thing with Snowden and the treason that she had to go through. I don't know. There's something with Tulsi that as a soldier, you're like, I'm going to prove the truth. The truth exists. And I love how people want to honor the truth. I'm going to tell you that. I love that. I love when people have to learn the truth, and it's like pulling a rug out from underneath them. But it's also questioning, how come everybody else's eyes were closed to this? Or how come everybody else shut up about this? And you can't say they didn't on that side, right?
Yeah.
It's and not only that, I think that it impedes. There's a lot. I mean, I tell you what, in 5 weeks, there's been a lot going on, Terri.
There has been a lot. Yeah.
My gosh, this has not been an easy energy in the last 5 weeks for any of us to go through. We have all had our own life lessons or our own awakenings. And I remember doing the last, the new moon, and saying in June, saying this is an equalizing energy at the circles we had. And I said, when I say stuff like that, it means heads up, pay attention. You already know it exists, but now it's going to be coming to an awareness. It's coming. You know what I mean? You already,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like having this underlining skeleton playing peekaboo. And that's how I describe it, going, new energy, new moons, new energy, manifestations and desires of what it is that we want. But I said the June moon, I said, this is a disturbance moon. This is both. This equation, this takes us through the next half of our year here. So that means rugs have to be removed. There's things have to be looked at, right? We have to talk about them. We have to balance them out. We have to have unconditional love and smile and understand what that means. And that's kind of, wow, this energy, because it's just every time you turn around, it's always something else is happening. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why that came up again now, but like you said, maybe it's just time to open that can of worms, as they say again, and just let the truth or let the chips fall where they may, and just bring it to light.
The
Yeah, I was
spiritual
really,
karma is divinely playing out.
yeah, I was really surprised at that. Actually, I was surprised that came back up. Because
Yeah.
I thought that was a non-starter anymore. I thought, no one was talking about that, nor would they talk about that anymore.
I
So,
think it had to come up because of the auto pen and who was running the country, and truly who was running our country. And to know that there were things that were just not even constitutionally correct the last 4 years, I would say there had to be a balance. There had to be a clean slate. In order to have the clean slate, I think the populist vote wanted to know the truth. They want transparency, but I think people misunderstand that just because he's the president of the United States, he's also the chief, the commander in chief for the military. So you might not get transparency 100% at that moment, but after it all plays out, the transparency will be there. That's how I think. I do think it that way.
yeah, no, that's true. I mean, they can't tell you everything. There has to be some things that are held back because of,
Yeah.
contingency operations, things that are going on, and to protect lives, and to protect the operation, whatever that is. So yeah, you can't be totally transparent in all things at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go on break, and then when we come back, we're going to find out why my co-host went to Albany, New York. That's intriguing for me. So I'll let Terri take us on that little journey of our break, and then we'll be right back. You're listening to MJ and Terri. We're right here on Beyond the Headlines, and this is a beautiful station called mbradio.us that you're listening to. And it's where the veterans get to have a voice.
Amen. And we're going to listen to Joe Allen Christie, Grandpa's Fishing Hole.
I was just a kid from a broken home. Mom and Dad couldn't get along. Spent many nights crying myself to sleep. Only saw Dad 4 days a month, sometimes less 'cause he drove a truck. But Grandpa was there when he was on the road. And riding shotgun in Grandpa's truck, headed to his favorite fishing spot, was the only place where I could be a kid. It's where I caught my first fish, and he laughed 'cause I was scared of it. We talked about life and how to be a man. He said, don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life's lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing hole. When Grandpa passed, I took it hard, but he lives forever in my heart. I met a girl, fell in love. I remembered what Grandpa said. So on the bank under the willow tree, I asked her if she'd marry me. I didn't think that fishing hole could mean any more to me, 'cause it's where I caught my first fish. He laughed 'cause I was scared of it. We talked about life and how to be a man. He said, don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life's lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing hole. that fishing spot. They fish, swim, and laugh a lot. We picnic on the bank under the willow tree. I miss that man, but we're making new memories. It's where they caught their first fish, where their mom and I had our first kiss. Grandpa's gone, but he lives in the words he said to me. Don't put off what you can do today. Say what you mean what you say. Find yourself a good one, don't let her go. Life's lessons learned at Grandpa's fishing pole. Can't imagine life without Grandpa's fishing hole.
And we're back.
Hello, back. So Terri, I was so surprised that you were like 4 hours just north of me there in Albany, New York. What were you doing up there, girlfriend?
I was finally graduating. I was excited to finally get to walk the stage.
Yeehaw! I love that. And what did we graduate major? What is our major?
Master's in Human Resources.
Beautiful. And using that, where are we elevating to?
I would really like to maybe teach adjunct and then, maybe do something, do some consulting maybe or something, and then just use it for my own career, the job I'm currently in now, just, trying to maybe progress to the next level if there's a chance to, but really just trying to move myself further in that direction of human resources. I've always kind of been in that lane, either officially or unofficially, because the job's always kind of related to that, regardless of what the position title actually was. So just kind of moving more in that direction, trying to, see where it goes from here, basically.
That's beautiful. What put you into the HR? What made you decide to go into that field? Can I ask?
Well, actually, when I joined the Army back in 1991, that's right. I was put in the S1. And the S1 is the section shop where we did birth month audits, we did insurance, we did, promotions, we did transfers in and out. We did all the things that are human resource related. But my job specialty wasn't that. They didn't have a position for me. They didn't have a full-time lawyer at the time because my position or my job specialty was actually legal specialist. And so since they really didn't have anything for me to do, they decided I should work in the S1. So I worked in the S1 for a long, long time. And then they were like, well, you need to cross-train to civil affairs so that way we can put you out on a team. And I'm like, okay, let's do civil affairs. So I cross-trained to civil affairs. And then was able to go out into one of the detachments and do, be on one of the CAT teams and do something like that. But all told, it kept pulling me back into the S1. And I'm like, okay, well, apparently this is where I need to be. But having a civil affairs specialty gets you promotional opportunities. So they had me do that. And then eventually I became detachment sergeant and some of the things like that. And then I decided to change units. And the unit I changed to had to have human resources as the MOS specialty. Why, I don't know, because it wasn't necessary at all, but they made me cross-train to human resources. So I did. So I've been Army human resources for a long time. My civilian jobs, though, were more like office manager type roles, I guess. And then my last job with the city I work for, even though it wasn't in human resources, it was hiring firefighters, it was doing promotions, it was doing discipline, it was doing all the things surrounding recruitment. all that. So that's really a human resource specialty, even though it didn't really have the title. So then
Now,
after
hear
that,
me out, girls, ladies out there, some guys, I guess. Did you hear what she said? Human resources for the firefighters. Did she add the word calendar to the bottom of that? I'm just asking for the general public. I'm just asking there, Terri, because that was a smart move on you being single.
well, so I mean, it was a good job, and it was all basically human resource related. So that's how I kind of got into that lane. And so then when I chose the next job, when I retired from that, then the next job I applied for human resources, and so then I got in the field, actually physically on the civilian side, because the time I spent doing that and then my military time brought me to human resources.
Beautiful. So, as a human resource professional, what is the highs and lows? Just in case somebody's out there going through, like, what are some of the things you're just as human resource go? It doesn't last long, and you can get through it.
Open enrollment is a hard
Yeah.
getting people to enroll in their benefits and understand their benefits and giving all the briefings and really, dialing in all those things that are surrounding open enrollment. So all the back end computer imports, exports, all the plan design, plan development, all the updating of insurance rates, all the education on um, the new products we've got. It's a lot, and then getting people to actually log into a computer and do their open enrollment, that is hard. It's hard work.
Yeah, that's like trying to thwart someone's free will. Do it.
Yes, just do it. Just do it.
Will you just get your keyboard out and type some things, please?
Yes, yeah. So we have to have open enrollment sessions where we invite people in and help them enroll so they can walk through their benefits. So that's one of the things on the benefit side, but there's other things too. Most people think of human resources as the people that fire people. Well, you got to go to human resources, so then they get scared because
Right.
I'm going to get fired or I'm going to get in trouble because you have to go to human resources. So it's seen as like going to the principal's office instead of like going somewhere that's pleasant. It's seen as kind of unpleasant experience.
Well, if you watch The Big Bang Theory, because every time those characters get to human resources, they're always in trouble. So it's like, are you a counselor? And it's like you can hear the President Ebert like, and you will do it. And what he's trying to say
Right.
in my HR voice.
Right. Trying to soften the message maybe, or soften the delivery maybe.
Yeah. And I just like when I look at that and I know that you are in HR, I'm like, I wonder if this is how she has to deal with these people. I was like, every day I was like, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. So you are some special breed.
Well, I don't know, but some days you have to say, can you all just behave? Can you just behave?
We're not taking any calls today. Sorry.
Can you just be adults today? Can we adult today, please?
Adulting. Come on. I mean, we were just talking about this too. The adulting of our politicians in Texas. Oh, here we are in Texas again.
I know,
What
right?
is going on in Texas, girl?
They're just running amok is what's happening. Everybody's running amok.
So if nobody knows what we're talking about, they had this huge meeting, I guess, right? And
redistricting that they were trying to, put a vote to, and that's how it all started.
okay, so they had to come in. They're legislators. They signed to vote. They signed to put their opinion, and they signed to balance and go to these meetings. So it was called to have one of these sessions, and every Democrat representative, our GOP, fled the state of Texas, and they made it very well aware that they were not, and they went to all these other blue states. I'm looking at this going, okay, well, are we back to kindergarten where your child comes home and goes, Susie's not my friend. She's just not.
I'm not going anymore. I'm not going to kindergarten anymore.
I'm not. I don't care. I'm not doing it. that is such a low level mentality. It really is. And
Well,
I'm
that's
sorry
not the first time they've done it either. In
and it's not just
2003.
the Democrats. The Republicans have made themselves. But even in
Yeah.
Congress, where they're having the Senate and they're having these committees on, I'm just going to go with the one that I was watching. They're calling all these people in about Biden, and they're coming in, plead the fifth. I don't know. I didn't see anything. And you know they're damn well lying. You can see it in their body postures. You can see it in their flirting of their eyes. You know they're lying. But yet, if you look at the actual members of the council, and the Democrats sit on one side, the Republicans, there is nothing there. That was the third time they did it. It wasn't just in Texas. They did it at Capitol Hill too for one of the Senate hearings on Biden and his capacity of trying to find out who the hell was running this country. And I don't think that's right either.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, whether you agree with what's being voted on or not, I mean, there should be another way to handle it besides just walking away and throwing up your hands and leaving the state saying, nope, I'm not going to do it. I mean, you're paid to do a job. You can't just walk off the job and say, nope, I'm not doing it, and then expect to have a job. I mean, you can walk off the job, but whether you have a job when you come back, when you decide you're wanting to be back in the game, most of the time you don't have a job anymore.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I was in this conversation, and the person I was having it, we are just we have to balance. We always have to figure out a way to balance, because it's like she thinks A, I think Z. It's just not there. So she asked me, she goes, and the girl's a spiritualist, and she says, so I just want to know, as a spiritualist, she goes, when you have to process and you can't decide what's good or bad, what do you tell people to do? And I started laughing. I said, we're not talking about a job. I go, no, I said, we're not talking personal. We're talking a job that you oathed into that says that I will. And I said, so as a spiritualist, we are taught to step back, step away, process. I just don't think that's what they did there. I think that was more of a in your eye kind of thing. I don't believe that to be. So if there's any spiritualists out there listening, I do believe that you need to step back and process. But if it is in your performa, or you are in your job description, I think that unfortunately you're going to have to process that pretty darn quick and put your best foot forward. So let me just say it that way.
Yeah, no, and not everybody agreed with the map that was drawn. It was drawn a couple years ago. It's not even recent. It's old, and it wasn't approved at the time. And so they're just now trying to bring it back up. There just really needs to be more conversation around it versus somebody just actually stepping away and not wanting to deal with it. I mean, like, it's been a map for a couple years, so they've been talking about it a couple years. So walking away from it doesn't solve the problem. It just exacerbates the problem. So why don't you just get back in there and deal with it, regardless of how you feel about it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's bipartisan, whether it's focused on one party over the other or one demographic over the other.
Why don't you leave it to the people? Why does a governor or a senator think that they have to make that decision? Why don't you put up a special voting system? This is what's going on. Let your people vote. Isn't it supposed to be about the people? We the people, right?
Yeah.
We the people. So why are the senators and governors only being allowed to vote on an interstate system? That doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
Well, they did ask for public comment. They came to Arlington and they asked for public comment, and they got it. And some were for and some were against. And so they take it all into consideration. But now, does that really move the needle any at all? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, but you're right. They need to have public comment on all this stuff because it is we the people. So they should be asking for public input, and they should be taking it into consideration. And they should be making decisions based on what the populace, says is the right thing to do.
I'm not going to use the word should. I'm going to say perhaps. perhaps it's time to, I can only think by who I am. So if I want something and it has to be a vote, but no matter what the vote is, I finally get, it's like being a boss, right? You talk to your employees, you talk to your staff, you talk to it, but you know that what they want isn't going to make it happen. What they're not thinking in a different radial. So you X what they say and you do something anyway. And I can just tell you in a business, like when you have business meetings, and what's the sense of having the meeting if you're not going to try to balance or try to incorporate the feelings of a whole? Yeah. So if Texas as a whole had a voting system, maybe it's plausible it would take some of the pressure off the fleetings that don't want to have anything coming back on them. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Oh. Anyway, that's how I think. I think that if it is a state decision, just like Alcatraz that got my voice in trouble back in June, I believe that to be a citizen's decision, not the governor of the state just making a decision and hiding it and not telling anybody. That is bullshit.
Yeah.
That means that you are corrupt. That means I really, and then you hear things. So I think maybe our politician friends is rebirthing or renewing some ideologies that could plausibly help them. I would think that. I would want to go with that answer. I know a lot of my Republican friends, when I tried to balance, are like, MJ. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's because you have to balance, because it's going to come back and it's going to irritate the shit out of you if you don't balance it. Whether you're in politics, whether it's a friendship, whether it's any type of relationship or event, you have to balance it. And
you do.
Come up with new ideas, because your ideas are 250 years old already. So we need to come up with new ideas. And it's like the citizen law. I wanted to touch on that. Do we have to go on break? I think we do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, let's go on break and then we'll touch on the citizen birthright law, because that one, I think, have you guys discussed that while I was gone?
No, we didn't.
That's another good one to sit here. All right.
So we're going to hear Die Tired Open Hearts Club.
Ooh, Die Tired.
Here we go.
Honestly, hold on, things are dizzy, spinning rapidly. To miss another beat is such a tragedy. Now this moment feels like all eternity. It should feel so comfortable. It's all in the secrets of the open hearts club. Tear it down, there is no need to scream and shout. When everything seems crazy, reflection now. A peace of mind should not include deception's help. It should feel so comfortable. All eyes stare into the scene, leaving bad taste in our memories. How can we all find change? It's all in the secrets of the open hearts club. Honestly, secrets of the open hearts club. Yeah, all out staring to the scene, leaving bad taste in our memories. How can we all find change? It's all in the secrets of our open hearts club. Oh, honestly,
We're back.
Die tired. You know, they don't come up here in Pennsylvania too often. But if they ever did, I think I might have to go see them. So you tell them I said that, because I know you talk to them a lot.
I think they actually are in Pennsylvania.
Are they really?
I think so.
When I looked at their thing, I didn't see anything there.
I'm gonna have to double check that.
Things that make you go,
That's right. That's right.
I've been known to drive 6 hours to a concert. Just saying.
Nothing wrong with it.
Just saying. So where were we?
We were going to talk about birthright.
Oh, birthright. Okay. Birthrights. So are we like, here you go. This is my take. We are here as spiritual beings living a human experience. We are not humans living a spiritual experience. So our birth is constant and it's renowned, and we are birthed everywhere. People are going to go, MJ, that's not what that means. I understand. I get it. Hold on. If I went and I did a lot in Central and South America, had I had one of my children there, I could not get birthright in that country. That child has to come back with me. And then that child files at the embassy in that country as an American citizen.
Right.
Now, why? If that is the case, why would you think that we should reciprocate that? And then to understand that that was in our Bill of Rights and our Constitution way 250 years ago, I can understand the egoicness of survival and of those wars at the time, why that had to be in the Constitution. I believe that. I don't believe today that that should be a right to the Constitution. I believe that if people come here knowingly that they are 38, 40 weeks pregnant and come here to have their child, I think that's a person that when you clear customs, it should be aware. It should be made aware. And that's how I see that. Because there is an excessive amount of people who decide that they are just going to come into the United States pregnant so that they have to stay here because the baby was born here and that child is underage and now I'm a citizen. And I get that that was a leverage point. So I understand both sides to it. And I find that with a balance, my balance would be, okay, well, you can still come. I'm not saying you can't come if you want to have your child here, but you need to understand, just like an American citizen, that that child then will get registered at the embassy of whatever country it is, and you will go home with that child. That's how I believe it to be. I believe that if that's how it is in other countries, then that's how it should be here. My thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not really sure what's the right answer for it because, I mean, it's been that way. So if it's been that way, should we
But it
change
was that way because of slavery. It was
Right.
there, it was there due to slavery. Right. So that being said, and when you read the whole section, it had to do with the women of slavery. So I don't know if that still exists today. You know what I mean? There's a lot of rules that I truly believe that we as a whole for this country, some of these bills of rights, some of these waypoints of our Constitution, I think they do need to be looked at again. I do believe that they need to be checked out again. I do believe that they need to be a little bit more balanced. My opinion.
I mean, there is nothing wrong with, reviewing our Constitution, reviewing, various laws and rules, because, I mean, do they need updating it from time to time? Yes, absolutely, because something that was said 100 years ago may not be relevant today. So I agree with that. I mean, we should look at some things and see if they still make sense. If they don't, they don't. And if they do, then we keep them. But, I think we should review. I mean, that's what you do, right? If you're in human resources, you review the handbook. Does it make sense? Is it relevant now? If it's not, you update it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, any business, they have rules around certain things, and do they make sense still? If they don't, you change them.
Right. Yeah, I believe that somebody, and I don't think it's going to be the Trump administration to do it, but somebody's going to have the big girl pants or the big boy pants and pull them up and say it's time to reassess some of this that really doesn't bear as our forefathers had to deal with it, right? That was an event that happened then. That event's not happening today. And so you see things that were devastating, things that were changed or taken down or broken, and it's like you can't change history. You can only modify the present in order so that history doesn't repeat itself, right? That's the worst thing, is to not have learned the lesson and now history is going to repeat itself. And that's the kind of problematic issues we're in. Like, I understand that people were claiming, he's going to start another revolutionary war. I don't believe so. There was more populist vote to not take on a woke society or a DEI society. I believe that's where it was. You want to live like that, then you should live in Europe, right? Because France is definitely has never had boundaries. As far as even when I was in there in 84, 85, there was never boundaries in France, and then England took over. And England didn't have the boundaries. But when you listen to like, I'll never forget listening to some of the customers from Europe, and some of these countries in Europe, I don't want to misspeak of the countries, but I'm just going to say, you cannot say anything negative about their presidency. You cannot say anything that's intolerable. You will get removed from Facebook or whatever it is, and you will get slapped with a fine. I was shocked to hear that. I go, that's not freedom. You're thwarting your will. You're thwarting your voice chakra. You're thwarting everything. And they go, well, it keeps down on that. I go, no, it harbors it. In my opinion, if you can't have free speech and you don't have the will of free speech or free life or free action, then you're thwarting all of that needs to grow and learn these lessons. I don't know. Anytime somebody goes, they're going to go to jail, I'm like, well, then karma's divinely playing out beautifully, right? Look how beautiful karma's playing out. So what are we all worried about? Just move on with our life, move on with it. That's how I see that. But I was shocked, to say the least, about the birthright. So that's my take. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't really think about it so much in those terms. I mean, if you're in the military and you have a child overseas, the child isn't a citizen of that country. The child is still a U.S. citizen.
And then I hear people who say stuff like that. And then I hear that they had you hear nightmare stories with military children being born overseas, and then they can't get them in the United States. Like, I heard a ton of that. What is going on with that?
I don't know. I mean, I think just maybe it's at the time, just what was going on at the time may have caused some of that, or maybe they just didn't have all their documents in order that they should have had when they were born. I mean, it could be some of that, or they could just be the rules change. I mean, you never know. I mean, it's all sensitive and all relevant to the time period. So,
amen. So we can't live 250 years ago. we have to change some of these laws and stuff, and we have to make sure that they fit our evolution process as man on this earth, right? I mean,
Right.
we have to keep moving forward. That would be like somebody saying, your open Apple computer, your DOS computer, is the only thing you can do. Well, can you understand how many upset people there would be today? That can't get on to their video games and their chats and their
Right.
technology advances, and us as humans accept it. So why can't rules change for evolution purposes? Right.
Yeah, it's like some of those old laws that keep on the books forever and they make absolutely no sense, like spitting on the sidewalk or something, like you get arrested. I mean, like how many people have done that? Like,
And how many people really got, because I can watch so many people spit and they don't get arrested.
right.
It's just, I mean, I think the morals of the time, there were more eye watchers and people witnessing because they didn't have the population. Now you got more eye watchers, but they're just my husband and I today, he goes, this upsets me. It was a video. And I was like, first of all, I'm like, I have to say something. And I always say it. I was like, babe, it has nothing to do with you. Zero. So the opinion, he goes, well, I didn't write anything. He goes, I just wanted your opinion. I go, my opinion doesn't matter because it's not my event to handle. And if I give you my opinion, it was all about hunting. And I go, if I give you my opinion, you're not going to like it anyway. And I said, because I can balance both sides. And I go, and that's the hardest thing is when you come out. I've had 5 weeks of prayer and 5 weeks of meditation. So coming out, it's hard for me to see the negative. I can only see the unbalance, right? It's not negative. I just see where it has to balance. And so in my life right now, I think everything in life, if you are upset, we call that in spiritual realm, homestuck ascent, it's on you. Face yourself. Because if any energy upsets you, then that means there's a seed of that event growing within that hasn't been healed. And that's where that's the pivotal point to turn stuff around. So anything that's on the headlines and you want to go beyond that, pivot that translation. I mean, I can't, I asked for a survey. I was baffled. And I only did it to like 100 people. And they were all walks of life. There wasn't one, and only 3 words aligned with 2 people, 3 words by 2 people. That means 6 people, 2 people thought alike 3 different times. That's crazy.
Yeah.
100 people. Interpretation is you're beyond the headlines. The interpretation of what you pull out of it, which is what got the media and social media so engrossly incompetent in giving accurate or truthfulness, because their egos and judgments of their conditioned mechanisms completely took over that headline into what they wanted it to say, whether it be negative or good.
Yeah.
And that's human. That is us as human. And you can thank your ancestral line. You can thank your teachers. You can thank your social peers. You can thank your local government for teaching you those beautiful morals by man. And that's what you have to undo. If you can undo them, then you can see a beautiful Christ-like balance in everything. Understanding, right? It's harder said than done, and I know that. Like it took me a good 30 years, and I was very strong military, very strong masculine personality inside this female body. But I had to do it. I had to shine that beauty within and balance that whole thing out. And I think that's what people need. I really do. Maybe they should teach that in school, balancing.
Yeah, it can hurt for sure. I mean,
since they took out the Bible, let's try balancing our egos and judgments, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always you get to choose your reaction to things. It's not like people are making you do one thing or another. You choose that reaction. So if you choose to be mad, it's your choice. If you choose to be happy, that's your choice. If you choose to be understanding, that's your choice. If you choose to be indifferent, that's a choice. I mean, everything is about choices and it's about whatever choice you make. So, you have control over that. And, if you say, well, they made me mad. No, they didn't make you mad. You chose to be mad. Like you
Yeah.
chose to be upset about something. So it's all about choices and
Yeah.
it's all about reframing your mind around, okay, I can choose to be mad here or I can choose to do something different. So it's really it's all in your self-talk as far as I'm concerned. It's what you're telling yourself.
I feel news medias today, and correct me if I'm wrong, they want you to be aware of the side that you are on. And I think that nope. I want to believe they do it for the highest consciousness of their truth. However, I'm not so sure that is the case. I believe it has to do with the big old dollar Benjamins that get patted in the pockets these days more than it is their truth, right?
Right. Yes.
And that's sad. And
It
if
is.
that is the case, then they're destroying the mental acuity of true Congress, true politics, and true American standard. And it's been happening for a long time. It's not just Trump and Biden and Obama. It goes back. It goes back to even Clinton. It goes back Mr. Reagan. It goes way back to JFK and Lyndon Johnson. I mean, it goes back. And that's what they're finding. They're finding now that truth needs to be aware. You can't go forward unless the truth becomes relevant and understanding what the truth is. I mean, how many people are in relationships and they don't see eye to eye and they can't balance and they divorce? It's just that way, right? You can't find a balance. I understand I gave it, and that was me having to learn that too. And I'll speak for myself. Did I give a fair shake because I didn't like an action that they did and I just walked away? Because to me, before I was healed, that was the end all end, right? Well, if that was the end all end, then I would have nobody in my life because I'm not so sure in this world today that people are 100% honest with their spouse or their companion. They've learned to hide things, or they've learned to shelter things, or they've learned to turn away, or they've just learned to walk away. And that's pretty sad. That's really pretty sad. And I think that's why you don't have very many marriages today that last any type of longevity, And I know that the Gen Zs, their philosophy is we just don't get married. So you live together, you have kids, but we're not going to get married. Because that's just, why do that? It ruins everything. What is a piece of paper? And I go, I can't answer that because I'm not a Gen Z. I'm a Gen X. I don't know. I don't. And I bridge Gen X and baby boomer. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where it's going to go. I don't know. But I do know that whoever you are with, there is a purpose. They would not be with you. There is a reason for a season for everybody. So enjoy it. If you have a phenomena, right, enjoy that too. Because life is short. Life is very short and it's going by quick.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So birthright, I'm going to put that to bed. That's on them. And I think it's on our government to make a change and into our policies and laws and understanding that they do need to go back into, if they're birthed here, then we don't bring in our Social Security person. We bring in the embassy of that country. And that's where they file the paperwork. And I think it will stop that, honestly. Because who the hell, you're not even supposed to be in an airplane past 32 weeks, 34 weeks.
Right. That's
So
true.
why are you coming in at 36 and 38 weeks pregnant? It just doesn't make sense unless you're here for no good reason, and maybe it's a good reason for them. I don't want them to live the life I have to live. I want the baby to live here. If she's born here, she's here. But that hurts. And the children are always part of that. And I always remember it was, I want to say 1991 or 92. It was in the early 90s. And the Cuban boy, Elian, that they came in and forced this child to force him back. It was so, I can't even imagine being that child then with the forcedness of them coming in, stripping him out of his closet, him hiding in a closet. He was only 6 years old, if that, hiding. Yeah. And armed guards and machine guns and grabbing him and exporting him back to Cuba. I can't even fathom that. And that was in the Clinton administration. I can't fathom that. And I always think about that when they talk about birthright. And the child was born here because the mom got here from Cuba and refused to go back. She wanted to divorce her husband, and he fought for the child. Well, then the child goes back to Cuba and he's under the Castro regime. It's like, maybe that was his purpose. I don't know. But that's the issues with birthright. And I saw that firsthand in Miami with the Cuban boy, Ilian. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it went around the world in the papers, that episode, because it was so devastating to watch. Yeah. How the ICE came in and just ripped that little boy out of that closet. It was devastating.
Yeah, it's really hard on both sides of that issue, and I don't know what the good answer is. I mean, it seems like cut and dry, easy, but then when you start putting the mechanics or the pencil to the paper to figure it out, it gets a little complex, and there's a lot of emotion on both sides of that. And so that one is definitely one for beyond the headlines. You have to look at both sides and really see all the different nuances that are part of that equation.
Yeah, that one hurt. And like I said, there you go, birthrights. And that is still fresh in my mind, though I didn't have any birthright issues, in my families. But to watch that, it's not my event, but it was for me to witness, I guess, to make an understanding, and how challenging, I'm sure, and just how earth-shattering and heartfelt that whole thing was.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but I think we have to go to break.
Or either that or we're at our time. So which do you want to do?
Oh, we are at our time. I didn't realize that. Well, it's up to you, because I know what Joel says. There's nobody behind you. So they were my topics. I don't know if you brought in topics, but these were my topics because I didn't know what you and Joel had discussed in 5 weeks. But these were my things that I really had a good twist on.
Yeah, and I think there are definitely valid points to consider. I mean, I do think there needs to be more conversations around all of them. Yeah. Just to figure it out, just to kind of play devil's advocate both ways and then really come up with good solutions and creative solutions.
I think if all of us as a whole around the world, not just US, around the world, if we could step back and breathe. Breathing is so important for clarity. Breath work into pain, breath work into anxiety, breath work into unknowns. Just give yourself a minute. I'm not saying step away for hours or weeks, especially if it's a job. But give yourself a minute. You don't have, because somebody asked you a question, sometimes your answers to come out are a repetition of somebody else's words and not yours. Yeah. Because you feel like you have to answer quickly. Try pausing a minute and really start looking as what your answer's choice and how those choices are going to come back at you or react to you or others. Mm-hmm. So if we can make choices that will balance everybody out and see our part of the wrong or right, both, mm-hmm. then I think that we can live in a beyond the headline balance situation. We don't have to live within the headlines. We can we can go past them and we can dissect them and we can turn it around to be very, very emotionally pleasing instead of emotionally distraught.
I agree. It takes more conversations and more of a pause. They call it a pregnant pause, where you just wait and then you say something. Don't just automatically just spit it out there. You just give it a minute or two to digest and settle and then respond, because otherwise, like you say, you're just spitting something out that you've heard before, not necessarily your true intention or your true feelings on something. You're just really kind of regurgitating somebody else's thoughts.
Social media is not your truth and your
No.
please. People give me things on social media, and then when you fact check it, you're like, this is just, please stop sharing that. Please stop sharing that.
True. I mean, you do really, I mean, just because you see something that seems like, oh my goodness, look at this headline. Well, then, yeah, look at the headline and then look at deeper into it and see if it really is a true and valid story, because
Right.
sometimes just garbage is being shared
It is
over and over and over. It's like, why are we perpetuating that misinformation, that whatever? It's like, do your own research and figure out, does that make sense? Is that really what's happening? And if
right.
it is, and it's something you can change, then work to change it. But
Absolutely.
in the meantime, like just like missing kids or whatever, a lot of times they're sharing it. They're already been found like days ago, but they're still sharing the old information. And not that we shouldn't look for missing children. I'm certainly not saying that, but it's the same type of thing. Or missing pets, like they're missing pets. Well, they've been found 10 days ago, but the post is still up. So that's the thing. You just really have to kind of look beyond that and do your own research to see if that's still really a valid request or a valid story, or if it was even true to begin with.
Right. Somebody is always looking for a quick edge. And in business, all those advertisements that catch you, that's great marketing. It really is. But it's so fraudulent too. And they have to stop. There has to be something to stop those. Coming back into truth and coming back into soul and coming back into love and balance is really the only way that people can be happy right now in this world. But trying to convince others of wrongdoings when it's not even the truth. It's the joke that I've heard that I guess the last I knew before I took my hiatus was that they were releasing like JFK files and Martin Luther King files and Epstein files and Weinstein files and file this and file whatever, right? And then there's now something that there's the Epstein files are not being released. Oh my God. If I saw one post, I've seen so many things about, that's on Trump. I go, that's not on Trump. I go, trust me, if there was anything remotely about Trump in that file, those Democrats and that administration, that hell Soros, he would have made hell for him with that file list. It would have been out there. It would have been, because they went to Mar-a-Lago and raided him. They have put this man under due arrest, and for no reason, just besides he wanted to tell the truth, because he's been playing the politics for years, and he's like, I'm done with it. The lies, the deceit, and he knows, and he knows so much. Just give it a chance. Step back from that podium. Step back from your keyboard. Step away from the keyboard.
Right.
Step away, right? Because what you're talking is just rubbish. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. You're not balanced. You're just being critical to humanity. And that's not right. Don't do it. It's going to haunt you in the long run. And it's going to come back at you with karma. And so when that happens, it's no bueno.
I agree.
Yeah. So folks, that is Beyond the Headlines. Nobody wanted to put a comment up, and so we could discuss it. I am off of all of my, talks abouts. So unless Terri has a talks about.
Nope, I think that was it. I think that the Democrats kind of running out of the state was really what I wanted to talk about. And so we talked about that. So
Oh, that's still funny. You're not my friend.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, they didn't. Yes, they
No,
did.
yes, you did. Oh my gosh. Oh my stars. It's amusing when we don't have to take a side and just sit back. It's amusing because the only thing you can do then is laugh, because you can't get angry. You can't get anything else, people. It's not your journey. You cannot, even if you're a Texan. If you're a Texan, then raise your hand for the people to vote on decisions and not one person making decisions for your state. It's the kind of thing I said about Ron DeSantis in Florida, his decisions, right? Yeah. So every time you make a decision, it will affect somebody.
Definitely.
That's free will. So remember that when you're making your choices and your decisions or your speeches, because someone's going to get hurt.
Yes, that's true. Somebody's going to be on the wrong side of that decision.
And you better be as apologetic as possible and saying it wasn't made to hurt you. It was made because of how I perceive it in my journey, my adventure, my circle around the sun. I understand that might be not yours. And I get that, right? I get that. So.
All right.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us. We are here every Monday night from 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 9. Who knows? We don't care. If we have a topic, then we bring it up. We're missing a cohort today. So some of those topics we haven't been able to be hit. So we wish him all the best and
Absolutely.
getting his self, restful.
Rested, feeling better.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So my name is MJ with the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, and Miss Terri of Tracer Rounds. Terry's podcast will be on tomorrow night.
It will.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Eastern. Yep.
8 o'clock Eastern. And who's your guest tomorrow?
It's Dave Bray. He's going to be on with us for 30 minutes. And I'm going to have a co-host, DJ Clado. He's going to come on because DJ Clado is a huge Dave Bray fan. So he is going to be on so he can help me ask questions for the 30 minutes that we've got with him. So
that is amazing. Well, DJ Clado, I follow him on TikTok. I like his music. So is my soul and that soul music that he plays. So I cannot wait to hear that podcast tomorrow. And anybody else, write in MBR or mbradio.us. You can either do it to 2CAP, you can do it to Tracer Rounds. Any podcast that you see here ends in mbradio.us of every email. So give us our questions. Come on in, sit down, be a host, be a guest, talk about what's troubling you. We'd love to hear it.
absolutely. Yeah. All right.
August 4th, signing off.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.